Question 21. What were the various origins and religious backgrounds of the Loyalists who migrated to Nova Scotia and Quebec? Dutch, German, British, Scandinavian, Aboriginal, and others with Presbyterian, Anglican, Baptist, Methodist, Jewish, Quaker, and Catholic religious backgrounds. French, Spanish, British, Scandinavian, Aboriginal, and others with Catholic, Protestant, and Muslim religious backgrounds. Dutch, German, French, Scandinavian, Aboriginal, and others with Catholic, Protestant, and Hindu religious backgrounds. British, American, African, Asian, and others with Protestant, Catholic, and Buddhist religious backgrounds. The correct answer is Dutch, German, British, Scandinavian, Aboriginal, and others with Presbyterian, Anglican, Baptist, Methodist, Jewish, Quaker, and Catholic religious backgrounds. The Loyalists who migrated to Nova Scotia and Quebec came from diverse ethnic and religious backgrounds, including Dutch, German, British, Scandinavian, and Aboriginal origins. They practiced various religions such as Presbyterian, Anglican, Baptist, Methodist, Jewish, Quaker, and Catholicism, reflecting the multicultural and religiously diverse nature of the Loyalist communities in British North America. Question 22. Who was the first woman publisher in Canada known for her activism in the abolition of slavery? Mary Ann Shadd Cary, Harriet Tubman, Sojourner Truth, Elizabeth Cady Stanton. The correct answer is Mary Ann Shadd Cary. Mary Ann Shadd Cary was the first woman publisher in Canada and an influential figure in the abolitionist movement. She established and edited the Provincial Freeman, a newspaper that advocated for the abolition of slavery and promoted equal rights for African Americans and women. Cary was a pioneering journalist, educator, and activist who played a significant role in the fight against slavery and the advancement of civil rights in North America. It was Laura Seikert's dangerous journey on foot to warn Lieutenant James Fitzgibbon of the planned American attack. 19 miles, 30 kilometers, 10 miles, 16 kilometers, 25 miles, 40 kilometers, 50 miles, 80 kilometers. The correct answer is 19 miles, 30 kilometers. Laura Secord undertook a perilous journey of 19 miles, 30 kilometers on foot to warn Lieutenant James Fitzgibbon of the planned American attack during the War of 1812. Despite the challenges and dangers she faced along the way, Secord's courageous act played a crucial role in enabling the British forces to prepare and ultimately thwart the American assault at the Battle of Beaver Dams. Question 24. What was Agnes MacPhail's occupation before becoming the first woman MP? Farmer and teacher, doctor and lawyer, journalist and engineer, politician and activist. The correct answer is farmer and teacher. Agnes MacPhail was a farmer and teacher before becoming the first woman Member of Parliament, MP, in Canada. She was a progressive activist and politician who advocated for various social reforms, including prison reform, workers' rights, and women's suffrage. MacPhail's commitment to social justice and her pioneering role as the first woman MP paved the way for greater gender equality and representation in Canadian politics. Question 25. In which year did Agnes MacPhail become the first woman MP? 1921, 1910, 1930, 1940. The correct answer is 1921. Agnes MacPhail became the first woman Member of Parliament, MP, in Canada in the year 1921. She was elected as the representative for the riding of Grey South East in Ontario, making history as the first woman to sit in the House of Commons. MacPhail's election marked a significant milestone for women's participation in Canadian politics and paved the way for future generations of women to enter the political arena. Question 26. What was the voting eligibility criteria for individuals at the time of Confederation? Property-owning adult white males, all adult citizens, property-owning adult males of any race, all adult white males. The correct answer is property-owning adult white males. At the time of Confederation, the voting eligibility criteria in Canada were restricted to property-owning adult white males. This meant that only adult men who owned a certain amount of property and were of European descent were allowed to vote in elections. This criterion excluded a significant portion of the population, including women, Indigenous peoples, and non-white individuals, from participating in the electoral process. Question 27. Who was the founder of the women's suffrage movement in Canada? Dr. Emily Stowe, Agnes MacPhail, Therese Casgrain, Sir Robert Borden. The correct answer is Dr. Emily Stowe. Dr. Emily Stowe was the founder of the women's suffrage movement in Canada. She was a pioneering Canadian physician, educator, and suffragist who advocated for women's rights and suffrage in the late 19th century. Stowe's efforts laid the groundwork for the women's suffrage movement in Canada, leading to significant advancements in women's rights, and eventually culminating in women gaining the right to vote federally in 1918. Question 28. Which province was the first to grant voting rights to women? Manitoba, Quebec, Ontario, Alberta. The correct answer is Manitoba. This province was the trailblazer in Canada for women's suffrage, granting women the right to vote in 1916. This significant milestone paved the way for other provinces to follow suit in acknowledging and empowering the rights of women in political spheres. Question 29. Who was the first woman MP in Canada? Agnes MacPhail, Dr. Emily Stowe, Therese Casgrain, Sir Robert Borden. The correct answer is Agnes MacPhail. She was a trailblazer in Canadian politics, becoming the first woman to be elected to the Canadian House of Commons in 1921. Question 30. What was the criteria for women to initially gain the right to vote in federal elections in Canada in 1917? Nurses at the battlefront and women related to men in active wartime service, women over the age of 30, women who owned property, women who were married. The correct answer is nurses at the battlefront and women related to men in active wartime service. This highlights the significant role women played during wartime, contributing directly to the war effort, which facilitated their initial participation in the electoral process. Question 31. Who played a significant role in advocating for women's voting rights in Quebec, leading to its implementation in 1940? Therese Casgrain, Agnes MacPhail, Dr. Emily Stowe, Sir Robert Borden. The correct answer is Therese Casgrain. She played a pivotal role in leading the campaign for women's suffrage in Quebec, contributing significantly to the granting of voting rights to women in the province in 1940. Question 32. When were most Canadian female citizens aged 21 and over granted the right to vote in federal elections? 1918, 1921, 1916, 1940. The correct answer is 1918. In this year, most Canadian women aged 21 and over were granted the right to vote in federal elections, marking a significant milestone in the country's history of advancing women's rights. This legislative change was a pivotal moment in the ongoing struggle for gender equality in Canada. Question 33. What was the significance of the capture of Juno Beach for Canada? It demonstrated Canada's contribution to the Allied victory in Europe. It marked the end of the war. It secured Canada's independence. It established Canada as a global superpower. The correct answer is, it demonstrated Canada's contribution to the Allied victory in Europe. This captures how critical the role of Canadian forces was during the D-Day landings, emphasizing their valor and the significant impact these efforts had on the course of World War II in Europe. Question 34. What was the significance of the D-Day invasion for Canada? It marked the beginning of the end of Nazi occupation in Europe. It demonstrated Canada's significant contribution to the Allied victory in Europe. It secured Canada's independence from Nazi Germany. It established Canada as a global military superpower. The correct answer is, it demonstrated Canada's significant contribution to the Allied victory in Europe. Canada's participation in the D-Day invasion was a crucial element in the broader Allied operations in World War II, highlighting its significant military contribution to the liberation of Europe from Nazi control. This event remains a proud and poignant chapter in Canadian history. Question 35. How many Canadian troops participated in the storming and capture of Juno Beach on D-Day? 10,000, 15,000, 20,000, 25,000. The correct answer is 15,000. This reflects the significant number of Canadian forces committed to the D-Day operations, underlining Canada's crucial role in this pivotal moment of World War II. Question 36. What was the outcome of the Canadian Army's efforts during World War II in terms of liberating territories? Liberation of Italy, liberation of the Netherlands, both of the above, none of the above. The correct answer is both of the above. Canadian forces played a pivotal role in the liberation of both Italy and the Netherlands during World War II, marking significant contributions to the Allied efforts in these regions. Question 37. Approximately what proportion of Allied soldiers on D-Day were Canadian? 1 in 5, 1 in 10, 1 in 15, 1 in 20. The correct answer is 1 in 10. This highlights the significant contribution of Canadian forces in the D-Day operations, representing a notable portion of the Allied effort to secure a foothold in Normandy, which was crucial for the further advancement into occupied Europe. Question 38. How did the Second World War begin? When Adolf Hitler invaded Poland and conquered much of Europe? When Japan attacked Pearl Harbor? When Italy declared war on the Allies? When the Soviet Union invaded Finland? The correct answer is when Adolf Hitler invaded Poland and conquered much of Europe. This marks the widely recognized start of World War II in Europe, beginning on September 1, 1939, when Germany invaded Poland. This event prompted Britain and France to declare war on Germany, officially beginning the conflict that would engulf much of the globe. Question 39. What was the population of Canada and Newfoundland during the Second World War? 5 million, 8 million, 11.5 million, 15 million. The correct answer is 11.5 million. During the Second World War, the population of Canada and Newfoundland combined was approximately 11.5 million. This number reflects the significant contribution and sacrifices made by the Canadian population, given the size of the country during the conflict. Question 40. How many Canadians and Newfoundlanders served in the Second World War? 500,000, 1 million, 2 million, 3 million. The correct answer is 1 million. This number reflects the significant contribution of Canadians and Newfoundlanders to the Allied war efforts during the Second World War, representing a considerable percentage of the population at the time. Thanks for tuning in to explore these insightful aspects of Canadian history and culture. For more information and practice questions, please visit citizenshipready.ca. Tune in next time for more insights into the fascinating world of Canadian history and citizenship.